Hello everyone. In the last video session, we had studied about one of the types of diastrophic movement, folding in detail. Now we are going to discuss the next one, folding. Let's begin the session by discussing the term crustal fracture. Displacement of rocks along a plane due to tensional and compressional forces is known as crustal fracture. The tensional and compressional forces may act horizontally or vertically or sometimes even both ways. Crustal fracture is influenced by the intensity of tensional forces and the strength of the rocks on which these forces act. When the tensional force is weak or moderate, they cause only cracks in the rocks, but intense tensional force may cause displacement and dislocation of rocks, which may lead to the formation of a fold. Generally speaking, fractures are of two types. First one is joint and the second one is fold. Joint is a fracture in crustal rocks in which there is no appreciable movement of rocks. The fracture becomes a fold when there is appreciable movement of rocks on both sides of a fracture and parallel to it. Now let's discuss in detail about folds. Folds are large cracks in the Earth's surface where parts of the crust move in relation to one another. The crack itself doesn't make it a fold, but rather the movement of the plates on either side is what designates it as a fold. These movements prove that the Earth has powerful forces that are always working beneath the surface. Folding is caused by plate tectonics when movements in the Earth's crust create stress and tension in the rocks, causing them to stretch and crack. Parts of a fold. First one is a fault plane. The fault plane is the surface along which the movement of the rock strata takes place. In simple words, the fault plane is where the action takes place. Here in this diagram, look at these two diagrams, and this is the place or the surface along which the movement of the rock take place. And so this area is known as the fault plane. Then next one is dip and strike. The fault dip, it is the angle between fault plane and the horizontal plane. Here you can see the fault plane and here is the horizontal plane. So fault dip is the angle between the fault plane and the horizontal plane. Then fault strike. It is the direction of the line of intersection between the fault plane and the Earth's surface. So it is the direction of the line of intersection between fault plane and the Earth's surface. So here lies the strike. Dip and strike. Okay. Hanging wall and foot wall. Hanging wall is the upper wall of a fold and foot wall is the lower wall of a fold. Here you can see hanging wall and foot wall. The upper wall of the fold is known as hanging wall and the lower wall is known as foot wall. Look at this diagram to understand this concept more. A man is hanging on a rope on the hanging wall and another man is stepping on the foot wall and climbing up. So this is the hanging wall and this one is the foot wall. Now let's study in detail about the types of folds. The different types of folding of the crustal rocks are determined by the direction of motion along the fracture plane. Displacement or the slip of rock blocks occur approximately in two directions, direction of dip and direction of strike. The types of folds on the basis of direction may be thus classified as dip slip fold, strike slip fold, and oblique slip fold. First one is dip slip folds. Folds which move along the direction of the dip plane are dip slip folds and are described as either normal or reverse depending on their motion. The faults which move along the direction of the dip plane are known as dip-slip faults. First type of dip-slip fault is normal fault. In a normal fault, the blocks on either side of the fault plane move in opposite directions because the forces of tension act in opposite directions. It is a dip-slip fault in which the hanging wall slips downwards relative to the foot wall. This fault generally takes place due to tension in the upper part of the crust. A normal fault leads to the formation of a steep, straight, cliff-like feature called fold scrub. So this is a hanging wall and this one is foot wall. So here you can see that hanging wall slip downwards relative to the foot wall. Such type of fault is known as a normal fault. Next one is reverse fault. It is also known as thrust fault. It is produced by compression. In such a fault, the blocks along the fault plane moves towards each other. The hanging wall slips up relative to the foot wall. It is just the reverse case of a normal fault. Here, the hanging wall slips up relative to the foot wall. Hanging wall slips up relative to the foot wall. So, it is known as reverse fault. Then, step fault. When an area suffers several parallel faults in such a way that the crust is broken into thin strata and the slope is on one side, the fault looks like a flight of stairs. A normal fault, when repeated by a series of parallel faults, each with an increased throw in the same direction, produces a step slope. Such faults are common in a fault block topography. Then the second major classification of fault on the basis of direction is strike-slip fault. It is otherwise known as tear fault or lateral fault or transcurrent fault or range fault. It is a fault in which the movement is directed horizontally along the strike. It is classified into two, right lateral and left lateral. A right lateral strike-slip fault is one on which the displacement of the far block is to the right when viewed from either side. In other words, if the observer on one side of the fault sees the opposite block to have moved to the right, the fault is said to be right lateral or it is known as dextral. A left lateral strike-slip fault is one on which the displacement of the far block is to the left when viewed from either side. That is, if the opposite block were moving to the left, the fault would be left lateral or it is known as sinistral. So, a right lateral strike-slip fault is known as dextral and the left lateral strike-slip fault is otherwise known as sinistral. It is a fault in which the movement is directed horizontally along the strike, such as the transform fault. Then the third one is oblique slip fault. In nature, not all faults are either completely dip slip or completely strike slip. It is a fault combining vertical and horizontal motion and it is known as oblique slip fault. It is caused by a combination of shearing and tension of the compressional forces. Now about the landform features produced by folding. First one is block mountains. Block mountains and hosts are formed by faults caused by tension or compression due to endogenic forces. The word host in Dutch and German means heap. Block mountains are formed when cracks or faults occur in the Earth's crust and the land between the cracks sinks, leaving upstanding blocks on either side. Block mountains are also known as fault block mountains. A host is a fault block that has been uplifted relative to the blocks on either side of a graben. It is a raised fault block bounded by normal faults. Or it is a raised block of the Earth's crust that has lifted or has remained stationary while the land on either side has subsided. The edges of such mountains are steep and the surfaces are almost level. Formation of a block mountain. Block mountains can be formed in three different ways. First one is the emergence of middle block between two normal faults. That is, due to compressional force, the two side blocks push the middle block to move up. This results in the block mountains with flat surface and steep slopes. This is called real host. For example, Harz Mountain in Germany. The second way is the subsidence of side blocks of two faults and middle block stand still. For example, Satpura Hills in India. And the third way is the subsidence of middle block between two normal faults. This results in side blocks as mountains. For example, Vosges and Black Forest mountains bordering Rhine Rift Valley in Europe. The next landform feature produced by faulting is the Rift Valley or fault troughs. Fault blocks which are depressed below the adjacent upthrown blocks are known as fault troughs or rift valleys. It represents a trough, depression or basin between two crustal parts. Rift valleys are long and narrow troughs bounded by one or more parallel faults caused by horizontal and vertical movements. Rift valleys are sometimes called grabens, which means ditch in German. While there is no official distinction between a graben and a rift valley, a graben usually describes a small rift valley. The Great Rift Valley System. The most well-known rift valley on Earth is probably the so-called Great Rift Valley System, which stretches from the Middle East in the north to Mozambique in the south. The area is geologically active and features volcanoes, hot springs, geysers, and frequent earthquakes. All of the rift valley in the system are connected but not part of a single unit. The northern part of the system is Jordan Rift Valley. Dead Sea is a part of this rift valley. So here is the northern part of the Great Rift Valley system, Jordan Rift Valley, and here you can see the Dead Sea Lake. Associated with the Jordan Rift Valley to the south is the Red Sea Rift. Here is the Red Sea Rift. Millions of years ago, the Arabian Peninsula was connected to Africa. Seafloor spreading caused the Arabian and the African plates to rift apart. The Indian Ocean flooded the rift valley between the continents, creating the Red Sea. Today, Africa and Asia are connected by the triangle of Sinai Peninsula. Eventually, the Red Sea Rift will separate Africa and Asia entirely and connect the Mediterranean and Red Seas. East African Rift Valley. South of the Red Sea Rift lies the massive complex East African Rift. This is Red Sea and here is the East African Rift. Throughout the East African Rift, the continent of Africa is splitting into two. The African plate, sometimes known as the Nubian plate, carries the most of the continent, while the smaller Somali plate carries the Horn of Africa. The two major rift valley systems of the East African Rift are the Grigori Rift and the Western Drift. The Western Rift, also called the Albertine Rift, includes many of the African Great Lakes. Rift Lakes. Rift lakes, formed as freshwater floods, river valleys, often mark Rift Valley systems. The major examples of the Rift lakes are as follows. First one is the Lake Superior in USA. It is the world's largest freshwater lake by surface area. Second one is Lake Baikal in Siberia, and it is the world's largest freshwater lake in terms of volume, and it is the deepest and oldest freshwater lake in the world. Then the Dead Sea. It is a rift lake in the Jordan Rift Valley, and it is the lowest land elevation on earth. Then Lake Tanganyika, whose longshores are shared by Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, and Zambia, is the largest of the African Rift Valley lakes. It is the longest freshwater lake in the world and the second deepest and second biggest by volume of freshwater lake in the world. Now about the significance of faults. Faults are important due to their various dangerous as well as useful effects. Some of them are as follows. Faults cause considerable damage to rocks and are therefore real hazards in mining and engineering works. Earthquakes and landslides are likely to be triggered by faults. Faults may create passages for water percolation. They may also provide passages for mineralizing. Many fault zones are sites of mineralization. Faults may create lakes, swamps, and marshy zones. Some fault zones form potential oil traps. There is a rise in groundwater table along the fault plains, and the water reaches the surface in the form of hot and cold springs. As a matter of fact, most of the hot and cold springs are situated along the fault plains. Then, faults can form waterfall across the rivers. That's all for now. Thank you and have a nice day.